So I'm Dean Garnett, I'm one of the coaches, founders of Aspire Combat Sports Academy. For me, one of the big things about Aspire is this idea of being the most forward-thinking club we can be. Always looking for avenues and ways where we can add on another level to what we're doing. I think when we look at the landscape of MMA at the moment, we see a baby sport, a sport in its infancy. And for me, coming from a sort of academic coaching background, that opened my eyes up to so many more opportunities that aren't being explored yet in the industry. So I think what we've tried to do here is be a little bit pioneering about how we operate, and we've looked at what a recognised sport does. We've looked at what elite institutions do, and we've tried to mimic those as best we can. So English MMA as an association, what we firstly need to do if we want to be seriously competing for medals at these tournaments, we need to define medal hopefuls, what that looks like. I don't know, there's different ways to do it, scouting, national championships, selection bouts on regional shows, but however we do it, we need to identify those athletes, and we need to build a team around them that's athlete-centred and expert. And again, if we think about the relationship with the club coaches need to be working closely with the federation coaches. That's why GB's been really successful, by putting the athlete at the centre of what we do, including the club coaches in the work we do with the athlete. We're putting training programmes together, and we're having regular contact with both club coach and athlete, with different type of coaches. One needs a strength conditioning coach, or another needs a nutritionist. They're going to get that one-to-one support at these sort of squad days, and then they can go and continue that work on with the club coach, who in essence is going to benefit from being around this process of programming training, delivering it, monitoring it, reviewing how the training programme's going, and then having that contact on behalf of the athlete with the nutritionist or the strength conditioning coach to monitor the progress and ensure we're sending these athletes off to these tournaments in tip-top condition, ready to peak. And that's going to increase our chances of picking up medals. One of the biggest things we need as an association and as a sport in this country is we need to give our coaches the opportunity to develop and become recognised professionally as coaches. I think if you look at the programmes we run here and the stuff we're trying to do with the community sport and being recognised by Sport England as being a legitimate coach, these things are important. So I think by getting a coaching pathway out there that is backed by these principles and underpinned by them, and is in line with the frameworks of the people we want to recognise and fund us, I think that's massively important. And I think, you look at the UK, I think we're one of the best nations in the world for in terms of the level of sport-specific knowledge that we have here. The technical, tactical knowledge is there at world level, at world-class level. In Liverpool there's several, world-class coaches alone. And then we look to the universities to provide us with these expert sports scientists that can just support the work that these expert coaches are doing. So I think everything's there for us. We've just got to work out how to bring it together, and I think the coaching pathway will be a big start to that process, and it'll encourage more people. Again, like what we're doing the 6-1 course, I'm hoping a lot of my students over the next few years are going to progress on to physiotherapy degrees or strength conditioning or nutrition, and having all that sort of sport-specific knowledge and coming through a programme like this and having been fighters themselves potentially, they're definitely going to make world-class support coaches to what we're trying to achieve in terms of winning medals. So the structure's there, the backbone's there, the knowledge is there. We've just got to roll out this pathway, make it accessible, make it robust, but make it tick the boxes that these organisations that one day going to fund us as an Olympic sport need. So today we're running an event with a few different industry professionals here. So we've got a carousel, 4 stations, we've got 8 schools involved, 10 to 15 kids from each school who have shown promise with sport or PE. So on the carousel you've got Conor Heeney, Masters in Strength Conditioning, works obviously at Aspire, he's based at JMU now, and he's also with Liverpool Football Club. We've got Mitten, who's a very experienced movement mobility coach. He's worked with gymnasts, worked as a rehabilitation coach for the FA. We've got Phil Turner, founder, head coach here with me, BJJ black belt as well, and then myself and Mokaev also doing a bit of a talk on the life of an athlete. So it's going to be a good day for some of these young people. Hopefully it gives them a bit of inspiration, gives them a bit of insight into some of the different roles that they could take into sport, and ultimately hopefully some of them come and join us and train here or aspire with us. Maybe some of them will go on to join our 6-1 programme in a year or two. There are a few here who already train MMA or Thai or Jiu-Jitsu, so for us it's a great chance to advertise what we're doing here and the 6-1 courses and stuff. So yeah, I'm excited.
So I've level changed, I've looked up, and I've caught here. Okay, I'm riding out the storm. They might start trying to turn in or walk away. I'm riding it out, and as soon as I know, knee in front, and then drive over that knee and put your weight on top. Okay. The first couple might feel uncomfortable, and you might like end up falling over a bit, or you might end up like you landed weird and the person never landed on the hands and knees. But the more you do it, the more repetition you do, the more confident you'll feel with it, the better the technique you'll get. So we're just here today with the Broughton Hall Girls School. They've come in just to get a sample of kind of like what we're doing here and combat sports in general. So we're learning them just a little bit of basic self-defense. So we're trying to get into a position straight away where they're in like an advanced position where they're out of harm and the other person's in harm straight away. So there'll be no hair pulling, the right round to the back controlling the partner, and they're just building up now to taking it to the ground, getting weight on the opponent or their attacker, and then in a minute they're going to be able to take the back, control them, and apply a choke that should see them safe and help them be able to kind of like understand how they can get out of a situation safely, not harming them, not harming the attacker, and keeping themselves safe. Hopefully they can take something away where actually if a fight presented itself to them, they've got something they can use, because 9 times out of 10 it's two people that haven't got a clue what they're doing, and they're just winging it and swinging it and just trying to make something happen, and anything can happen. So even if they've got one little thing that they know for sure they can do that's something that they know they can use, and they're that one step ahead already of in a potential fight situation or an attack situation. So hopefully they can take something away and use it.
A little bit further, give me a little bit more slack. Cool, then pull up a little bit. Okay, perfect. So we're going to do something here called a mid-thigh pull test, right? And this is going to measure, so pull your shoulders back, so try and be as straight as you can. So pull that chest through a little bit. Good. So what we're going to try and do is see how strong this guy is. Okay, what's your name? Nathan. Nathan, do you think you're strong? Nope. Nope, cool, well, we're going to test it anyway. Okay, so I want you to bend your knees slightly. I'll actually show you how I want you to set up, and then you can do it. So if you pass over. So we're going to set up. Actually, we'll have you a little bit. Okay, we're going to set up, slight bend in the knees, nice and tall in the chest. So I'm trying to straighten my back up. Okay, think about, when you're in the shower and it goes from hot to cold really quickly, and do that. Okay, so you set up, feet are in, and all you're doing, you've got 5 seconds to try and pull up as hard as you can. Okay, and I'm going to measure how many kilos you get. Okay, I'm going to count you in at 3 seconds. So nice tall chest. So 3, 2, 1, pull, 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 pull. 3, 2, 1. Time. Good.
So I'm Conor Heeney. I'm the S&C coach at Aspire Combat Sports Academy. I've been working here for about 3 years now. So today's all about kind of letting the students know about sort of the importance of S&C, and sort of, if you take an athlete, they've got to work on their technical work, their tactical work, and also their physical work. So I'll take care of that in terms of working on their endurance, their strength, their speed, their power, and how that can sort of relate into the actual cage that they get in, and sort of relating that again into different sports. So with all the kids we have here, how can we take simple ideas and approach that to loads of different contexts and ideas in the sport? So how would we find out what the sport needs? How do we test the sport? And then how do we go from that in terms of training an athlete so that then they're in the best possible situation to go out and perform and be the best that they can be in that arena?
You've probably had a little look at some of the stuff you were doing with Conor there, but typically it's called linear periodization. So the way I work is we build strength first, then we start moving into power training, then we start looking at power and conditioning, yeah, strength endurance. So that's like a basic approach to the actual strength conditioning itself. And then now I'm doing a lot of work with Dan on mobility and strength in these ranges, because a lot of the work you see you do with Conor, it's linear in its movements. So if I do a big squat or a big deadlift, yeah, I can really improve my strength. But if you look at some of the positions Mo's having to lift from, he's down here, he's over here, he's over there. So by working with someone like Dan now, what you're doing is you're developing your mobility and you're strengthening these ranges in these awkward positions where, you know, you still need to be strong. So by combining both of those coaches, it's allowing me to be really strong, but then really strong in all my different ranges and my different movements. And again, if we think about MMA, what, like, you know, if I do a weight, I'm either pushing or pulling. But what's a punch? Is it a push or a pull, is it, or a rotation?
Rotation.
It's a rotation, isn't it? So it's about ticking all your boxes with your physiology training and your strength and conditioning. Yeah. Next one, boys.
Everyone's got their clever, you've just got to find your clever. And because it's a real generalist sport and not a specialist sport, there's so much, you incorporate so many elements. Does that make sense? Yeah? Just because you're no good at punching doesn't mean you're not going to be a boxer. Just because you're no good at kicking doesn't mean you can't do whatever sport, taekwondo or whatever. There's space for everyone in this sport. All different shapes, sizes, abilities, strengths, weaknesses. You've just got to find your clever.
Why aren't I scared? I need to be scared. So I started panicking that I wasn't nervous. And I beat the guy in like 4 minutes and he'd had over 30 pro fights. And I've never been nervous for a fight since. Even in Chechnya, I was fighting Magomedov, who was the former champ, just lost his title to Peter Yan, who's a top 10 ranked UFC fighter now. He was in Chechnya, his backyard. Not many fighters will go to places like Russia and fight the best. And I remember coming down this thing that was like dead eye. I was petrified because I'm scared of heights, but as soon as it landed I was like, it's literally like walking in here. Probably get more nervous about talking to some use. So I don't get nervous anymore, but that's because I'm a seasoned vet. Mo, do you get nervous?
Like first fights, yes, because if you're not nervous, you're crazy guy. You're not normal. Everybody get nervous. First interview you get nervous. First time you go to school you're nervous. Like college, everything you try first, you're nervous. But once you get in this, like in this game, I walk out now in the, like I used to, first my debut when I fight. I didn't even hear my coaches. I didn't even hear anybody. I just like, oh, this like fight crazy. Well, like now, 21st fight, like I had the World Championships final. I come out, I see my opponent, I see his coaches, I see everybody who's sitting in the arena, who's shouting woo and who's shouting for me, you know. So I could see everybody. So nervous goes down. Like you're more confident.
So I've said this to 80 plus kids today. I think Mo is a special athlete, and I think a lot of it comes down to his mentality. You know, you look at his upbringing and what he's had to go through. Comes to the UK 7 years ago, couldn't speak English. You know, financially struggling. So he's got a mentality that like he is in it to win it, and he's absolutely committed to his cause. So, you know, his discipline is unbelievable, and he's someone now. You know, even as a 19-year-old kid, I really thrive off being around him. I feed off his energy, I feed off his discipline, his commitment. But we have a gym full of these young kids now, so he's just a good fit for us. I met Mo by going down to Manchester City Wrestling to try and improve my wrestling before I fought in Chechnya. As soon as I walked in, he was the first face that I noticed, recognised him from the circuit. He was about my size. All the other guys were massive, so I was like, okay, this kid's fought MMA, he'll do me. Worked with him for the day. I was really impressed with his wrestling. He had a lovely energy and mannerism and persona. And the following week, I was trying to arrange like a group of people who could come down and help me with some Shark Tanks after my session, just for that extra push. So I invited them down to the gym to jump in some sparring with the likes of Emmaa and stuff as well. Thought it'd be good to see and train with them guys, and just kind of hit it off from there. I think the way his face lit up when he came into the building, how he responded to training with the other kids in here, because he'd probably not trained with other kids his age who were even close to his level before. So he was coming here and straight away he was being challenged. He was losing out on things. He was winning things as well, but he was coming somewhere where, hang on, it's hard for me. If I come here, I'm gonna lose rounds to people, which is what he needed. And the type of athlete he is, he's not scared of a challenge. So it was an instant connection. And I'm confident I'll always work with the kid in whatever capacity. I think it wouldn't matter to me tomorrow if he said he's moving to Russia or he's going to American top team. He'd get my support 100%, whatever he was doing. You know, so I'll always support the kid for what he does and all the rest of the kids here. You know, I think one thing I've learned off my degree that's really stuck with me, and leveraged that off against my own experience as an athlete, is when you put your athlete first, that means you put them before you. So I hear a lot of people, you know, talk about what they do for their athletes, but I worry that they're trying to be a martyr at times, and I just think, you know, if they're really first, you shouldn't be going on about how much you do for them. Like, let them say that or don't say it at all. You know, you're the coach, talk about how much they do for themselves. And I think that's what the best coaches do. They always put the athlete at the centre of everything, and I think sometimes we do that here to our detriment, you know. But, you know, in the end, we're building a really good young team. We're creating a culture that's probably not as common in other clubs as it is, you know, in ours. We're very open. We're very open-minded about what we can do to improve ourselves all the time, what we can add to the mix, and what other coaches we can bring in, and how me and Phil can upskill ourselves. Like, you know, that's a big one. We know we've got loads of work to do yet as coaches and in the roles we want to do. So it's just that culture of personal development. It just doesn't stop anywhere in every level of what we're doing. You know, bettering yourself's number one, and even if that's at the detriment of our club or whatever it is, you know, if it's about the student being first and getting better, then it works for us. So that's why our little mantra is better never stops.
My name is Mokaev. I'm two-time IMF world champion, undefeated MMA fighter, 21. I know as an amateur. I trained 2 years at the Aspire with Dean Garnett, and Dean, because he's the same weight, fights same weight category as me, but professional, he we help each other to grow. Like, he's very clever guy because he's finished university, so I got lots of things to learn from him. I trained 2 years at Aspire. Like, last week it was 2 years, exactly 2 years. Already had 15 fights for this gym, and I think this gym is good because a lot of guys my weight and train smart. I was a Team Carbon since 2012. I was competing, I fight for them. I had about 6-7 amateur fights for them. Last amateur fight I had against Liam Gittins, which is 5-0, 6-0 pro now in Cage Warriors. So I beat this guy unanimous decision after this. Like, he didn't lose. And I had great experience, you know, it's learning path. So I left because I don't think they pay attention to me much as the hard fighters already, like Darren Till, and you know, it was more concentration on Darren Till. But I was a young guy, like 16, 17 years old. I was 16 then, so also amateur, so I was on the last bit. Don't get matched up much, and I couldn't go other gyms. It was like politics, but I understand one point from Carbon, you know, but that's old school. Like, why I like Dean and Aspire gym, Dean believes, like, he let me go any gym, but because he knows I'm gonna come back to him. You know, if coach doesn't believe that your athlete gonna go somewhere and not gonna come back, it means you're not good coach. You know, he's afraid to athletes see someone's better. Prince Khalid supported me very good. Like, I represent the KHK team in Bahrain. I trained there for 1.5 months before the World Championships. When my coach came over, Dean Garnett, they look after him great. It means a lot because if they treat me same and they treat my coach same as me, I'm happy with this. And I get support. Like, for example, if I have any operation, everything will be free. If I go there and do operation, like medicals, and Yeah, he's always in touch with me on WhatsApp. Like I send the message, next 2 minutes he replies. He replies faster than anybody, like most of the guys I've got on WhatsApp. So it makes him very humble. He carrying speed buckets for the fighters. He came to see me after final, came inside the cage, which means a lot. You don't see the like UK prince doing this stuff, or like other countries. English MMA doesn't have big support for the athletes because the government body doesn't supply us with, like, for example, kit, like money for the traveling, competing. Athletes have to pay for themselves. But I believe in the future, like already it's happening, maybe like early 2020, athletes will get funded because these guys like Garnett helping with English MMA, Gareth Brown, like Mark Goddard, these guys working and they're understanding each other, main goal. I believe Team England could be like on the top. Like if in juniors with like 1-2 gold medals we get on top 3 in the world, imagine another medal that would be like second, first. It's only starting this, but just need to get government behind it to support the sport. If MMA will be in Olympics next 4 years, I probably would stay amateur, but I believe it will be 2028 in Olympics MMA. That's too late for me. I will be 28, but then it's still amateur. This isn't good, because I look at some amateurs now who fight like 26, 27 years old and they still fight amateurs. I think they're like mentally not there not confident to fight professional, because at age 28 you should be on the top of UFC, nearly finishing your career. So in wrestling I can compete, represent Team England. But in MMA, if that would be like next 2-3 years, I'd be like not sleeping, training to get that medal, because it's a great opportunity. I think I'm youngest athlete that been offered by UFC development team, ONE FC, Bellator, Brave, and very big offers, which means a lot of money involved in this. But we have to play smart. I'm not there to chase money. Money coming, they're slowly coming. Like if I got money to buy food, that's at the moment it's not for me. I want to build my name, so when I get to UFC, people know about me already. Like other people get into UFC and have 2-3 fights to get this going, so people know about them, which it cost the weight cut, cost like health to fight, where I do it smart. Use this in amateur with shin pads and but also building my name. So when I get to UFC 2-3 fights, I believe they can give me for title fight, because I'm gonna show good fights. Yeah, I have a lot of fans right now than before, like 3 or 4 years ago. But my main goal is to be #1, whatever I'm doing. Like, for example, to be UFC champion. I want to be UFC champion. Fans will come with it, but if I concentrate on the fans too much, then I'm gonna lose my main goal, because focus is like what's got in front of your eyes. But if you start looking like left, right, you're gonna forget your main goal. Khabib is a very big inspiration for all of people like in the sport who actually like chase the dream without going out or like drinking, partying. Like anybody like follows this guy, understand, because this guy show to people that with so much money involved, you can stay humble and you still can like fight same as he was hungry before, even getting better and better. Like for example, Conor, a great fighter, beat Jose Aldo, beat Alvarez, become first ever UFC two-time weight champion. But money changed him. Money changed him. I don't know if I get so much money, what I would do. It's very hard. I already like getting a little bit paid now, and my head sometimes goes and like nighttime I listen, back training, how money comes, they can't go same time. And Khabib shows great example that he don't do drugs, he don't travel with girls around the world on the planes, don't punch old people, respect. He shows example of respecting people, respecting parents that give you birth, and that's it. No advertise alcohol. How sport and alcohol, it's different. I know it's a business, it's good money business, but imagine in the sport you get young people to on right path, and other side, like how McGregor brought so many young generation like to sport. Well, other way he advertised alcohol. Half of them be drinking and thinking if they drink this whiskey they become maybe like 2-time champion, you know. He probably doesn't like drink as much as he advertise, but advertising this doesn't look good on a sport. This nothing to do with sport. For me, important in MMA career is loyalty. Loyalty, to stay loyal, also stay humble, because it's not easy. This is not easy, but we don't choose easy paths. So don't forget people who helped you. Of course, it's my health as pain, but there's people that show you the right path, because whoever you surround, the way you build. So I think loyalty and stay humble is the best key in MMA. If you work this, people gonna like you. When the people like you, they support you. When you have support, no, like it's hard to lose in a cage when you have support. And I want to finish my career, be UFC champion, if not one weight, 2 weight champion. You know, just want to bring something to this country. Back 7 years I live here in this country. Like I came here with nothing, and I just want to give something back to this country. You know, when I go to professional, I fight. When I go to professional, I'm ready to fight anybody. It means like that. It means put in front of me anybody in the world, I'm ready to fight them. I'm already like beating professional guys. When I was 17, I was 6-0 then. I beat the guy. Again, I say it's Liam Gittins. Recently, he called me out again, but listen, unanimous decision, 5 rounds of suplexing this guy. He's now, after this, he won 7 amateur fight after I beat him. 7 amateur, now he's 5-0 or 6-0 pro in the Cage Warriors. And he finished some good guys as well. So it means, shows little bit level where I am. I don't want to put myself, it's just the facts show, you know, the results. But there's James Gallagher, these guys, when I come, these guys run fast, yeah.